And we're live with
Live.
my old friend David Santos. David,
Hey,
my
hey.
God, this is
It's
the first time I'm laying eyes on you in 30 years.
it's too long, way too long.
It's
No, it's more than
crazy.
30. It's 40. I'm sorry
Oh,
to tell you.
shh.
I'm
That is so depressing. Oh my God. Do you know I am going to be 70? Oh God.
oh,
Oh my God. What happened? Oh, shh.
maybe what you weren't
Wait.
supposed to tell anybody your age.
I just it didn't want me
Oh,
to tell anybody. It just started playing. This is I'm gonna be 70
I'm sorry.
while we're
Oh,
in New Orleans. Yeah, I'm gonna be 70.
no, New Orleans. You
We're
going to
going
New
to New
Orleans?
Orleans after we go to
Oh,
Nashville because we're gonna see
oh,
McCartney on my birthday because
oh,
Snuffy's friends with Brian Ray.
oh
And
yeah.
so we're going, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay,
I
okay.
I know.
Well, you
So
don't look 70. I swear to you. I wouldn't lie. You look 40.
all right.
If that.
I love you.
I
Okay,
love you
wait.
too.
We have to talk about this because I don't know anything about how you met Wendy. You
Okay.
guys have survived. You guys are together almost that long.
Yes,
Oh my God.
95.
95. Okay, so that was after I knew you.
31
So
years.
how did you meet? Did you move? When did you move to Nashville?
Oh my God. Well, you how long do you want these stories to be?
I want the stories.
Okay, are you
Don't
going to
censor
edit?
yourself.
Are you
No, I'm not
editing?
editing. This is live, baby. We're just out there.
All right. So we're live now?
We're live.
Okay. All right. Well, Wendy Moten, I didn't know her from Adam.
Okay.
Okay. I got this call. I went and did a wedding. I'm
Wait,
gonna
what year is this?
This is 95.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I'm gonna just
And
wax
wait,
on.
where are you living when this
I'm living in
happens?
Brooklyn.
You live in Brooklyn Heights, Cobble Hill. I
Yeah,
gotcha.
Cobble
Okay.
Hill. Exactly. You
Henry
know.
Street. It was Henry
Henry
Street.
Street, that was my stop. Of course.
That was it. I
So,
lived on Henry Street.
you did you live on Henry?
Yeah, with my boyfriend Chris Junta on Henry and Atlantic in this
Henry and
little.
Atlantic.
There you
Oh my
go.
God. Okay, you took the F train, didn't you? Was that
You
your
know, I,
train?
you
You don't
know,
remember. You got to
I don't
remember your
remember. I
train.
was so high. We'll talk about that
Okay,
too.
we'll talk about that. All right, the long version of these stories is what's
Okay.
fun. Okay.
Yes.
So what happened was I got this I did a wedding and I was very unhappy with weddings and things like that. I was a rock and roller and I played at
Right.
the Rock and Roll Cafe where you got everybody started in New York. Thank you. I'll
I,
never forget you for that.
my great
Never.
pleasure.
You are a very big part of my life. I moved there with Nunzio. This guy Nunzio was a guitar player. We
What was
found
Nunzio's last name? Swart.
Signore,
Ignore it. Oh my God.
Signore. Totally an Italian, great musician, funky guitar player, and we hit it off really well in Boston. We were at Berkeley. We did all the stuff around there. Played with the James Montgomery Blues Band, and then we said, "Hey man, let's move to New York." Yeah, let's move to New York. So we moved to New York, Brooklyn. Now we need to get work. We have to get work. We're broke. I had $500, which wasn't enough to do my rent or any of that. So slept on the floor, all that stuff. Well, I got the Village Voice with Nunzio, and we sat there and said, we need to put a band together. What are we going to call it? Well, I'm bad luck and you're trouble. So we're going to call it Bad Luck and Trouble.
I love it.
Okay.
I'm right. I didn't remember. I'm writing it
You
down.
booked
Okay.
us.
I
You
know I
booked
booked
us.
you. I know I
All right.
booked you.
We were all over the Village Voice. You got us all kind of stuff like that. We went into the Rock and Roll Cafe because we heard some music. We were walking down Bleecker and we were, oh, there's some rock and roll music. And I believe it might have been Sandy Gennaro playing in there that night.
Oh, I'm also going to see in Nashville. I'm so excited.
One of my favorite people. And
Yes.
yes, I can't hope we can see him together. Uh, and
That would be great.
and I must tell you, I'm a huge Snuffy fan too. I
You
just wanted to
know,
put that in there.
it's so when I found that picture of you and it's on your Facebook of you, Ferroni and Snuffy. It
There
was
he
right
is.
before I met him, like right before I met him. And you got look at you guys, and you played together at the Albuquerque Film Festival, right?
A
Did you
little
jam
bit.
together a
I
little
think he
bit?
jammed with us, but
Yeah,
he
yeah,
he
yeah.
he's just a hero of a great writer, great guitar player, and a musician and musical person. And we all love him. He's a legend, total legend. And Snuffy love him.
You know, I
All
can't
right,
believe you knew him because I didn't. I had no idea who he was till the day I met him. Didn't know.
really?
I didn't know.
How did he like that?
All right, you have to hear this though. This is great. I'm going to tell
Yeah,
one little
let's
story.
hear your
So,
story and get back
I
to
was
me.
going to see Emerson, Lake and Palmer
Oh,
1970. It was 374. They were playing at the Garden the Christmas of 73. My boyfriend and I decided, no, we'll see them when we go out to school in Tucson in 74, the spring. Snuffy was on that tour. He opened for Emerson, Lake and Palmer, his band Stray Dog, but he got kicked off the tour for being drunk.
Oh,
So I
all
didn't
right,
meet him.
Snuffy.
Okay, now tell the story.
Wendy. Okay, so I'm
Okay.
in New York, struggling, playing at the Rock and Roll Cafe and the Bitter End and all those,
You sure
no,
didn't make any money there.
no money,
Mm.
broke. So I got this call. The guy says, "Hey, do you want to try weddings?" I said, "I don't know, man. I want to. I play rock and roll." He goes, "No, you need money, right?" I said, "Well, yeah, okay, I'll do one." So I went up Westchester and played these tuxedo gigs, with a great band, by the way.
Really?
When Childs was the drummer who played with David Bowie,
Oh, wow.
and he's with John Waite now, and he's always been doing great
I
things.
know him. I mean, because
Alan,
yes, I've met Alan. Yes, I know Alan.
and
Yeah.
he was our drummer. So we rocked and played jazz and played everything and the Hava Nagila and all the groovy tunes of the everything. And so, but I wasn't really loving it. My heart was in rock and roll. I moved to New York to be a rock star and all that. So, oh gosh, I was so down and depressed. I'd get in my little car that was breaking down every 20 minutes, and I'd drive up the West Side Highway or the Hudson. I'd go all the way up to uh, to the Nyack in these crazy places and make no money. It was like $250 a gig or some like light bread thing, so I drive back so one day on the way up there, I said to myself, I'd been reading this book called Creative Visualization, which was a book on how to, the book. I saw your eyes light up. Shakti Gawain. Oh, I lost you. Are you muted? I'm not hearing you at all. Did I mute you somehow?
I muted myself because I just posted that we're live.
Oh,
So I muted
so I
myself so you
go,
wouldn't hear me tapping shock to go in. Creative visualization. It's my whole fucking life. I'm t I totally am into this. I am so into this. Okay, go
oh
ahead.
my God.
I'm so into this.
Me and this drummer named Bobby Chenard were like hanging
Bobby
out on,
Chenard, poor.
did you know
I knew, of course, I knew Bobby. Bobby played the club too. Poor
Bobby was
Bobby.
always around?
Yeah, Bobby.
We were on this island, St. John, at one time, some with James Montgomery Blues Band, and it was crazy, and there was a lot of unsavory things. There were a lot. We were doing all that stuff, and I get up in the morning with this book. I went down to the beautiful blue water, and I sat and I read this book, Creative Visualization, and it's about visualizing your life the way you want it to be and getting what you want in your life with affirmations and with positive thinking and visualizing it and then acting on it in the now. So you create it in your mind first, and then you go and you achieve it, and somehow the universe provides it to you,
I
right?
believe. I believe.
I do too. So now I'm reading this book and I'm on this island and I'm looking at this water and I'm reading and I visualize myself getting better gigs, not having to do the
Not having to work for me at the Rock and Roll Cafe. I don't blame
you
you.
weren't happy. You weren't happy at the Rock and Roll Cafe. You
I,
looked happy.
I loved my gig. I had a good time. I was also very high all the time. We'll talk
Nice.
about that.
Yes. So, well, I go back to New York, Brooklyn. I go in there, and in those days it was answering machines, and I hit an answering machine thing, and it was all of the people that I had visualized playing with, just rapid fire. Andy Newmark, all these guys, Brian Ferry, and all this stuff, rapid fire. And one of them was a wedding gig. Okay, so I took the wedding gig because I needed cash, and I was driving up there. And
Wait a
on the
minute.
way,
There was a call from Brian Ferry on your machine?
it was Andy Newmark who was the drummer with Brian Ferry.
No kidding.
And
Okay.
you know who was auditioned with me was a woman named Sophie Hawkins, who was the
I
percussionist.
remember Sophie Hawkins,
Remember
of
Sophie?
course. Sure.
All this stuff. Well, after some time of doing that wedding gig, I was unhappy, and I wanted to get back to rock and roll, as I started to say. So I visualized all these things with my practices of visualizing a better future for myself, and I'm going to be happy. It told you to stay positive, right? The book was about positivity.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to be happy. I'm going to go into this gig and I'm going to push my stuff through the greasy kitchen and set it up in the corner and play these tunes. And Wendy's calling me. I should turn this off. Hold on. Wait. Hold on.
Yeah, she can join. Hi, Wendy.
Hey, I'm on the phone with Wendy Moten. Wendy,
Hi,
I'm here with
Wendy.
Vicki. Wendy, you hear us? Wait.
I can't hear Wendy.
There we are.
Wendy, there she is. Hi, Wendy. I can't wait to meet you. I'm so excited.
Yes,
We were all Team Wendy during The Voice. Me and Snuffy was so Team Wendy.
they
Oh
were
my God.
Team Wendy. What? Uh-oh,
No.
she's cutting off. I told you got to get that phone fixed in your car. All right, I'm going to call you later, honey. Okay, bye. All right, so I go there and I get to the gig and don't let the negative, everybody's negative in these gigs. They're all unhappy. They don't want to be there in those days. They wanted to be other places, but they do the gig. So I said, I'm going to be the happy one. Smile, smile. So I'm smiling away. I'm up there playing and I look up and this guy is smiling back at me and I didn't know him. He was new. He's a horn player. So I smile and he smiles back. Oh, and then a couple seconds later, Jesus. Okay, your phone's working again. Okay, now here we are. Okay, there's Wendy, everybody. Oh, that's right.
Wendy's going to have to do this show and talk for herself.
Wendy, okay. They were team Wendy, you know, when they loved you, by the way, on The Voice.
Huge Team Wendy.
Yeah, you did great. We all loved you. Yeah, so anyway, I'm doing this video and I'm going to get back. Well, you're coming home, so you might even get here while we're still doing it.
Okay, good. But you have to hang up with Wendy so you can tell us how you met Wendy.
Okay, I'm going to tell my story of how I met you, honey.
We can't hear Wendy, unfortunately.
Bye. Okay, so here's what happened, and this is the freaky thing, and this is kind of what jump-started my career. I went to this wedding. Now, there's this sax player smiling at me, and I'm smiling back, and I don't know him. Handsome guy, you know, good sax player. Well, it turns out his name was Mark Rivera. Mark Rivera has been with Billy Joel for a long time.
Okay, what year? This is 95?
This was 94.
So Tommy Burns was already there. And my friend Liberty's there. Hell
Liberty
yeah.
was there. Liberty, one of my dearest friends.
I love Liberty so much.
You do. You got to get him to do this show.
Like 6 times already. Liberty's been in my house, my mother's house. I love Liberty. When he used to come to LA, we used to visit all the time. I love Liberty.
I love Liberty. All right. Well,
yeah.
Okay. So here's what happened.
Okay.
I love these long stories, but so look, I'm going to tell them.
Tell them. We want to hear them. We want to hear them.
Who else would hear this? Okay. I mean, all right. So I go home. I finished the wedding. We didn't talk much. It was just a smile. I go back to Brooklyn, drive, an hour and a half back home, and so my life continues. I'm going around doing my $50 gigs and playing at the Rock and Roll Cafe and running here and running there. Well, phone rang one day. Maybe it was a year later, something like that, a year and a half, even, long time. I heard at the end of my Shotgun Railroad apartment in Brooklyn, down way in the back, my answering machine, I heard this is the phone ring, and then I heard Ringo. I just heard the word Ringo pop through. I jumped up and I ran. I picked up the phone. Hello. And it was Mark. David, I don't know if you remember me. I play sax. My name is Mark Rivera. I met you on a wedding gig. We were smiling at each other. You remember we smiled? He remembered. I remembered. I said, of course I remember.
How much before was that?
A year and a half.
Uh-huh.
A long time.
Uh-huh.
But he remembered. I had a similar experience with Mick Fleetwood one time, and I'll tell you about that. Then I was flown out to play with Fleetwood Mac quite a few years later. Just we're
gonna hear that story
from a hang.
We're gonna hear that story.
Yeah. So here's Mark Rivera on the phone with me,
right?
And he says, "So you remember?" I do remember now. I do remember. Yes, yeah. I played this bass line, boom, 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 boom. I played that to warm up, and he liked it. Turned around, and smiled at me. I smiled back. Okay, so I told him, yeah, I was playing Inner City Blues, and you dug it. He said, yeah, man. Well, listen, you want to play with Ringo's AllStar Band? I said, what? He goes, listen,
Oh my God.
it's a long story.
This is 94-ish, 95-ish.
Yeah, late
Wow.
94, moving
That's
into
like when
95.
Ringo first started his All-Star Band, isn't it?
He had done it, I think, once or twice
Yeah, it was
ish.
new.
It was
Yeah, yeah,
new.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, his daughter, Ringo's daughter, had a brain tumor.
Oh my God, I didn't even know he had a daughter. I know Zach. I didn't know he
Yeah,
had it.
yeah, he had a
What?
daughter. Yeah, she's kind of low key. So
Oh,
he had this band assembled. Now, let me tell you who was in the band. Billy Preston was playing keyboards.
Jesus.
Felix Cavaliere was playing organ. I
Jesus.
know. Listen to this. Mark Farner from Grand Funk was
Oh,
playing
I
guitar.
love Grand Funk.
Me too. Randy Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive, and guess who
Jesus.
was on one guitar and Mark Farner on the other, and Steve Cropper of Memphis fame, who became a very good friend of mine. As I have a Memphis shirt on, so all of these
Let's see,
people, and I'm
okay.
leaving some people out, but what happened was Ringo had assembled this killer band called the Ringo AllStar Band.
Right.
His daughter got sick, so he said, "Oh, I'm breaking this up." The bass player who was in the band was in the Who, the legendary bass
Okay.
player of the Who.
I just saw the, no, not the legend, not John Entwistle.
John Entwistle, yes.
John Entwistle was in the band?
Entwistle was in the band. I ended up taking Entwistle's place.
Holy
So because
moly.
Entwistle said, I don't really want to do it without Ringo. He didn't need the money. He wanted to play with Ringo. So they said, keep the band together if you want to. And the president of Northwest Airlines came in and called it the Northwest Airlines All-Stars. And it was Ringo's All-Star Band without Ringo. So we never used the Ringo name. And Wendy Moten was one of the singers.
Wow. Wait, who was
Wendy.
the front person?
All of them. They all. Lou
Oh,
Gramm. Lou Gramm from
oh
Foreigner.
my God.
Lou Gramm.
So they all took turns like they do
Yeah.
now, doing a few of their own songs kind of
That's
thing.
right. And Wendy sang
Ah.
a few too. And she did duets with Billy Preston on a couple of tunes,
Oh
Knock on
my
Wood,
God.
some of his famous tunes. And it was
Nothing from
amazing.
nothing means
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will it go around in circles?
Oh
Oh, remember
God.
those tunes?
Of course.
That's the way God planned it.
Oh man.
Well, so here's how I met Wendy, and we were together ever since that day. Um,
Wow.
I walked into so Rivera's
How
on the
long
phone.
how long was that gig?
That gig went on for 5 or 6 years.
The All-Star Band?
Yeah, we just kept doing it. Yeah.
With that same configuration, or did
Yep.
people come?
The
Wow.
people only Randy Bachman left. The rest, everybody stayed the same.
All right, so it's Lou Gramm.
Yeah, Lou Gramm,
It's
Wendy
wait,
Moten,
it's Wendy. Who else?
Billy Preston,
Billy Preston, yeah.
Felix Cavaliere,
Felix, yeah.
Liberty DeVito.
Liberty was in that.
He took
Wait
Ringo's
a minute,
place.
but he was doing Billy Joel.
Billy was on a little bit of, like a hiatus. This is before I got the Billy gig, and this is how I got the Billy gig.
Okay, Liberty. Who else is in that band?
Liberty, Mark Rivera on
Mark
sax,
Rivera.
Mark Farner on guitar,
Mark Farner.
who's amazing. Steve Cropper.
Jesus,
It
what
was
a band.
it
I
was
can't
quite,
believe you were able to keep that together for so
yeah.
long.
The money was ridiculous, and it was the president of Northwest Airlines was he traveled with us along with an entourage of people from Northwest Airlines, and it was incredible. We all became very close. So
So they billed it as this all-star band. So even though it wasn't Ringo, people still came.
it became a corporate thing. We
Oh,
did corporates.
I gotcha.
And the bread was off the chain. So we were all having a great time going out to eat and having great fun and playing and everything. So
And you're
first
doing
rehearsal,
everybody's hits, so it's making everybody happy.
totally everybody's hits. The first day, Mark Rivera's okay. Back to Brooklyn. Mark Rivera's on the phone. He says, "Do you want to play with Ringo's All-Star Band? But it's not with Ringo. It's the same band, but Ringo left and John Entwistle left. You'd be taking John's place." And I said, "Oh, yes. The answer is yes." And he said, "Okay, there'll be some money in an envelope and a ticket tomorrow by DHL first thing in the morning, and you got to fly to Nashville." So I did. Sure enough, right at 9 a.m., ding, I answered the thing. There was this envelope. I opened it up. There was a check for like $17,000 and a ticket to Nashville. And so I fly there. Don't know
And
what's
that was
going on.
probably more money than you'd made like the whole year before, right? Or
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've saved it. I get there. I go to the hotel, which is a great hotel in Nashville, one of the best.
Which
And when
one? We're
the
coming.
Renaissance, the
Okay.
Renaissance. And it has one of those elevators that goes up with glass and you can see the city as you go up, right? So I had gone and left my bass in the room by accident. So I was like, oh man, I gotta go back upstairs. So I went up to the elevator and I got up and got my bass. And on the way up, Wendy was in the elevator. Okay. And I just looked at her and she had on sunglasses and a big black hat. She was just kind of standing there and it's just us two, we two. And I looked at her and I looked away and I looked back and I'm like, oh my God, what do I? And the door opens up and she gets out and I kept going and I'm like, oh, I blew it. But right as she was walking out, I said, nice hat. And she turned back and kind of smiled and went down and went on her way. I went, got my bass, came back down, jumped in the van, and there was Billy Preston sitting there, and Wendy was in the back, and I went, you. So she was singing in the band.
Oh, so that's the first time you met her was in the elevator.
In the elevator.
Wow.
And then we went and rehearsed. She stood right in front of me and danced and sang and everything. Billy Preston was to my right over here, and Felix was over there, and Cropper was over here playing.
What a gig!
And there's Wendy, but I can't think of anything else but her.
Aww.
So we finished the rehearsal. I went to my room and I went, I'm calling that girl. So she was in her room too. She's a good girl. She doesn't go out and all that. So she was in the room. And I said, I'm the bass player. Would you like to have dinner? And she said, yeah, let's do it. So we went out and had dinner and we've been together ever since.
And God, so that's, how many years is that?
31-ish years ago.
Wow, that's just crazy. And you guys are together like a lot because you play music together. You do a lot. You're together.
We're a team. We bought another house in Nashville first. She came to Brooklyn and she didn't like it. It was too cold. She couldn't back then it was hard to get a cab for a black person. Do you remember that? Danny Glover and all that?
I don't know that that's changed that. It's just a horrible thing. It's just a horrible thing.
Yeah. And she was like, hey, and the cabs would just go right on by. And hey,
God damn.
And she was cold. And she said, I can't live here. And I said, I understand. So I'll move there. So she was living in Memphis. I lived there. We came together and lived in Nashville. We lived in Nashville for quite a few years. And then we moved to LA. And we lived in LA for a while when I was with Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And I'll tell you more about that.
And when was that?
That was in 2001, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
And then we realized, we're spending a lot of money in this apartment in North Hollywood. It was a lot, and we could be buying a house. We could buy a house in Nashville.
Tony just wrote Serendipity Santos.
Tony who? I know.
Do you know Tony Vincent? Did you know Tony in New York?
Hey, Tony Vincent.
She made the composite thing of you with all the pictures.
Toni, Tony?
Toni.
So I moved back to Nashville with Wendy, and we bought a second house, and that was how we got. And now we're still here in the same house. This is it right here. So that's how I met Wendy. Then that gig. This is how I got the Billy Joel gig. I was sitting in the steam room. You can check this out, and it was all steamy. And I used to work out a lot in those days, and I had worked out. Now I'm going to steam, and I'm sitting there. Well, in the steam room was Liberty and Mark Rivera, and they were sitting behind me. It was steamy, and
wait, you guys are doing the All-Star Band at this time?
Yeah. We were somewhere in Minneapolis, I think we were. So I'm sitting there down on the bottom level.
By the way, Tony said you guys met back in the day in New York.
Back in the day.
She's a rock photographer.
I know her.
Okay.
So I'm leaning forward, and they're talking. And I'm just kind of eavesdropping, but not. And one of them says, I think it was Liberty, hey, Billy's talking about getting back together and doing a tour. And Mark says, yeah, I know, but T-Bone Wolk doesn't want to do it. So we got to figure that out. That's the bass player.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, oh my God. Oh my God,
Well, they
Billy and
know
Elton.
you're a bass player. Why
Yeah.
aren't you?
They didn't offer me the gig, but I heard that. So I heard a window into an opportunity,
Mm.
right? I heard
Good old
that,
creative visualization.
yeah.
Mm.
And we're talking stadiums. We're talking Billy Joel and Elton John. That's a huge tour.
Oh, it was that tour.
Yeah, it was called Face to Face.
Wow, I remember that. Yeah.
They would sit at the front, like, facing each other. And we
Yeah.
others tunes at first, which was incredible. I'd go out every night and watch that. And
Wow.
then we would come on, or Elton would come on, however it ended up going. Then a little break, then the next band would come on. And then at the end of the night, both bands would rock the whole universe. And it was
Crazy.
crazy, like 20 people up there.
Crazy.
Legendary giant venues, the Tokyo Dome, and it was incredible. And this happened from this steam room thing. I'm sitting there and I'm hearing this and I'm like, you know what? I want that gig. I want that gig. I want to play with Billy Joel and Elton John tour. So I said, well, guys, I'll see you later. And I got up and I ran to my room as quick as I could, called the front desk. Hey, I need a cab here in 10 minutes. We had a sound check. We had to go to at 2. And this was about noon. I said, I need a cab here, and I need the cab to take me someplace and then take me somewhere else. And they said, okay, well, I'll instruct the driver to drop you at the first place and wait. Yes. I run down, I get in the cab, I tell the guy what's going on as we're going. I said, pick it up, let's get there, let's do this. And I go to a CD store, which I just walk in, I said, where's your Billy Joel? Where's your Elton John? And they went, oh, it's right over there. And I walked over and I didn't have time. I just grabbed all of them like that,
Wow.
threw them in the cart. I said, where are your cassettes? He said, over there. And I went and I said, Billy Joel, Elton John, boom. Ran down, the cab was still waiting. I got back, I got in the car. I said, take me to the next CD store. Went to there. I did the same thing. I had doubles and everything. I didn't care. I got them all. Boom, boom, all the cassette. Then I back to the hotel and I just made sound check. Perfect timing. So I just dumped them on the bed. There was this huge pile of Billy Joel and Elton John music all on my bed. Went to the rehearsal and I started my journey to learn that music, which, by the way, took a year.
Really?
It took a year.
And you had a year? It was a year before Billy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Billy just kept canceling. In those days he was going through some changes and stuff. And it was in Elton. And then plus there was business involved. They were having a hard time getting it together. And it's serendipity, like Tony said, and the way everything kind of worked out. I got this call and they said,
now, did you get the call because Liberty and Mark
they went to bat for me.
Oh.
They went to bat for me. They said, we know this bass player. I get this call from the manager, and he says, listen, you're going to do Letterman with Billy Joel and a music video. He has a new record coming out.
What year was that? Do you remember?
95.
That was 95.
Yeah. No, 96. And then it stalled.
Because my husband was the head monologue writer at Letterman the next year.
Oh, really? 97-ish?
97-ish to 2001. Yeah.
Wow. I probably met him.
You probably did.
So here's the great part about this. One of the great parts about it. They said, you're going to do Letterman, then you're going to do Storytellers. Storytellers was going to be Billy's comeback. He hasn't played live in a while. He's going
Wait a minute. So did you audition for Billy? How did you get that?
I didn't have the gig yet. These were pre. It's hard to nail a gig like that.
Okay.
This was pre-decision. We'll get David to come in, and you say he's good. Billy has to like you.
Well, now you didn't even play with Billy before you went out on Letterman?
Never.
Wow.
So Storytellers was first.
Okay, wait, I kind of remember. What was Storytellers?
Storytellers in those days was a show that Billy would come out.
Yeah.
He'd come and sit at the piano, or Don Henley would, or Jackson Brown,
right.
Or whomever. You would come out and you would play a couple of tunes, and then the crowd would ask you questions. storyteller, and they go, "How did you write this one?" or "What is this?" And then
Was this on PBS or was this live?
I forgot it. I think it was PBS. It
Oh,
might
yeah,
have
I
been
think so
PBS.
too. I kind of
Yeah.
remember it. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, that was the first where I met Billy Joel. I go there. I'm nervous, but I had been working on his music for a year.
Wow.
I knew 250 Billy Joel songs.
I didn't even know there were 250 Bill Joel
Think about it.
songs.
Think about it.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got a lot of songs.
Wow.
So I had these tunes, and so does Elton. And I was working on those
And by the
too.
way, Lib just did this show recently after the Billy Joel Did you see the Billy Joel thing on?
A little bit. I surfed for myself.
It's really you should it's very interesting.
I did. I saw some of it, most
Yeah.
of it.
Okay.
Well,
Anyway, go ahead.
so I walk in. There's Billy Joel. He comes walking up to me. They told him who I was. He walked up and he said, "Hey, you're David." I said, "Yes." He goes, "Do you know my music?" And I said, "Yes." Now the guy had told me to learn these 5 songs, and they were a Italian restaurant, and etc. So
Right.
I learned those 5 tunes. They had sent me the CD in those days, and I learned them.
Right.
But I knew them. I knew them
Of course.
already. I
Of
knew the
course.
other 250. Well, I said, "Okay, yeah, I know your music." And he looked at me and I kind of like, "Okay." And then he walked away. They're busy. He's got a lot going on. He wanted to sign off on that. His bass player tonight was cool. Knew the music, knew the 5 tunes. Okay, now I'm going to go over here, make up. I'm going to do, you've been TV, you've seen this.
And
So,
you and Liberty been playing together, so you
yeah,
guys are totally
like solid.
right.
So this guy, this is a funny story. This guy who's running things, he's got the little thing, take one and all that, the checkered, I forgot what you call those, the slate.
I have one of the slate, yeah. Yeah.
Of course you do.
I got one right over here. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
He's running around and he wants to talk to me. Let me see it. Let's see. Yeah, this will add to the ambiance. Oh, the mic just went down. Look at that.
I screwed up my whole thing here, David.
Just to get the slate.
Wait, no, now I can't hear you because now I pull everybody's
no.
laughing.
Everybody's like, what's going on with this Santos guy? That's it. Oh my God,
Wait.
perfect. Perfect.
I can't hear you. Shit.
All right, go ahead.
This is show and tell.
This is okay. This people want to know that we make mistakes.
No, that's not a mistake. That's humor.
Exactly. Take 2. So the guy's carrying that thing around.
Yeah.
And so he wants to talk to me. So he says, "Okay, come here, David." And I go walking over. We're getting ready to take this live, kind of like what we're doing now. This is live TV. And he goes, "Okay, let me explain to you. Don't look away." No, I kind of look. No, look at me. And I said, "Yes." He goes, "This is what's going to happen. You see this little mark right here?" He pointed to some 2 X's that were taped in masking tape, one here and one a little bit over there. Those are your marks. This mark here is directly in Billy's shot. Billy's camera's there. It's going to shoot over, and Billy's going to be singing face on with the camera, and you're going to be directly behind him. And if you move to another area, move to this spot, because that's your camera over there. You look over there. And I look, that's your camera. I said, "Got it. Okay, so that's Billy's shot, and this is mine." And he goes, "Yeah, but you're in both shots." "Okay, I got you." And he goes, "All right, now you're going to listen to me very carefully because this is live TV." I said, I got you. We want this to be a success for Billy. So what we're going to do, what you're going to do is you're going to walk out from over there when I cue you, with the little clink thing, and you walk out and you pick up your bass, you take this spot, and yes, exactly. And you look at that camera, and then Billy will start the song, Italian Restaurant. And I'm like, I've never played with Billy in my life. I'm nervous.
This is crazy.
Yeah. And I go, okay. And by the way, the crowd was crazy. There were famous people everywhere, all around there. And I go, okay. So yes, I got it. I don't want to. He goes, okay. Now, after you play the Billy Joel song, then you take your bass off and you place it on the stand and you follow that masking tape. You see that? And it was taped on the floor around to behind a curtain that was hanging there. You take your place behind the curtain. The rest of the band will be back there. When you're back there, Billy will field questions from the crowd. It's unscripted. There will be questions asked. He'll answer them. Okay. Then after a certain time, you keep your eye on me. You can kind of peek around the corner. You just do it discreetly, and I will cue you, and you'll walk along that thing. We'll catch you coming along, and you'll come along the masking tape. You'll take your X spot, view the camera, and you'll play whatever the second song was. And this will happen 5 times, and then the show will end. Blah blah blah. Okay. I got you. He goes, okay, tell me what you're gonna do.
Oh.
I say, Chip, I'm gonna walk out when you cue me. I'm gonna take my bass and I'm gonna take my position. I'm gonna stand there. They're gonna go and we're gonna count. Billy's gonna do Italian Restaurant. I'm gonna finish the tune. I'm gonna put it down and follow the masking tape behind there and watch you until you cue me for the next tune. He said, that's right. You got it? I said, I got it. He looked at me. Okay, good. Then he's off doing everybody else. So here we go. Countdown. Ready? And click with the little, let me see some sound of some visual. And I'm walking out. Everybody does. Clap. Billy comes out, sit down, and he starts off, bottle of red. He starts playing the tune, bottle of, and I'm standing there and I play it. Okay, it was a success. I nailed it. I had been practicing every morning. I get up with my coffee. I practice Billy Joel songs, right?
How much time did you have between the time you found out you were going to do the gig and the time of the gig?
Well, it was only a few days that they told me this, but I had a year to learn the
right
because of my ambition and my creative visualization.
There you go.
And the work, the implementation.
Be
prepared. And dreaming. I didn't know I was going to get this call. I hoped I might.
Mm-hmm.
I had a window into it.
Right.
You don't just wake up and get a Billy Joel Elton John tour. Just like the little birdie doesn't just come give that to you, right? You have to
earn that shit.
Yeah, you got to massage it too. So here we are. We finished the first song. I do what he tells me. I go behind the thing, and lo and behold, everyone's back there. There's Liberty, and Liberty's kind of tall, and he's standing up.
Yeah.
And I'm looking up at him, and he goes, "Good job, man. Yeah, good job. So
that sounds like him.
Sounds like him. So here I am now. I'm watching Billy like a hawk. I don't want to mess up. I'm watching the Asian guy, the guy with the thing, and I'm also watching Billy. And I'm trying to bond with the guys a little bit too. So I'm kind of like in the middle of their hang, and they've done this a lot, but they're still nervous too. But I'm there, and I'm looking, and I see there's a guy waving his arm, a kid, and Billy calls on him, and the guy says, "How did you write Summer Highland Falls?" And he goes, "Summer Highland Falls? Man, that's an obscure one." He goes, "Wow, Summer Highland Falls. Okay, well, Summer Highland Falls, I was kind of in a schizophrenic mindset, and the waterfall comes down, and he played a piano riff down. And then, but the left hand on my piano part was going up. So it's just kind of like a thing, and the bass was going boom, beep, boom, beep, boom, beep, like this. And I'm like watching this, and I'm watching this, and I see, and he says, "Well, let me try it." So he tries to play it. Now he hasn't played this tune in years, understandably, and it's an obscure tune. It's on one of the records.
Right.
And he's messing up a little bit. So he's like, you know what? If I had a bass player that knew the tune, I could, play it. But I'm not. Anyway, that's how. And so I said to Liberty, "I know this tune." And he goes, "You know it? I know it too. I played on it." I said, "I know it, man." Liberty is so irreverent and such a rock and roll badass. He pushed me. He physically pushed me hard. So I was into the camera shot, and the guy with the thing is like, get back. That's not part. But there's no cutting. It's live. He's trying to tell me to obey him, and he was kind of a control freak. And Billy sees the commotion and Liberty, and they walk out, and Billy's like, "Summer Highland Falls?" And I said, "Yeah." And I pick up my bass, and they're all the camera people. You're not supposed to do this kind of stuff. Time is money. And he goes, "Stay up here, man." No. He goes, okay, yeah, we could play it. Yeah, let's play it. The bass. I said, "Yeah, I know it." And I leaned forward to him like this, and I went, "I know all your music."
Oh, so good. So good. So good.
He goes, okay. So we do the tune. It was a success. We nailed it. And then he goes, just stay up here, man. Just stay up here. I said, really? And the guy is pointing at me
Oh,
to walk and
oh,
follow the mask.
get on in there. Get off of my lawn.
Yeah, and he's got the mouthpiece. He's talking, to someone in the control room. You could see him like he's all histrionic and stuff. And I'm like, all right. Billy said, stay up here. We stay up here. And we played 40 songs.
No.
Yes.
How long were you up
Billy
there?
likes to do that. We were up there a lot longer than we were supposed to. He
Wow.
likes to play, like when we go to a hotel, he would go down to the lobby and play in the lobby all night and sing, and Prince does the same thing.
I
It's in their
love
blood,
that.
They play their
I
show and then they go out and play in a club.
I love that.
Billy did that. He loved it. So he said, stay up there. So I stayed up there and we kept doing it. They made 3 episodes. You can see them online. Go dial it. Yeah, go to YouTube.
Storytellers.
Billy Joel Storytellers. You'll see me. I was a lot skinnier and younger looking.
That's a great story. All right,
That's
so
the
wait a
story.
minute. So so what happens after that?
He runs, he gets up, we finish the night. He's drenched in sweat. It was an amazing experience for me because it was a culmination of all the tunes that I had practiced all this year. And the
Wow.
realization of it all coming together in the universe with just this bang, and I'm there and I achieved it. And he got up, and he usually travels in an entourage of like 5 people. They kind of stand around him and they move like a team of. And
Was the wife with him then? She
no, well,
was.
there was one wife. It wasn't this wife.
It wasn't the first, but the first wife,
Oh,
who was
not
his
Christy.
manager.
It wasn't Christy. Oh no, it was even after Christy. Christy was leaving as I joined in.
Oh, okay.
Remember Christy, the
Yeah,
beautiful
sure. Christy Brinkley, sure.
Brinkley?
Okay.
They have a daughter,
Yes. Alexa.
Alexa, and she's wonderful and beautiful. And
Yes.
she's an artist too now, I
Yeah.
hear.
Hmm.
But it's a long time ago, man. It's just kind of a silly little story,
turn
but
on
it
the
was
phone?
worth
My
telling.
Alexa's talking. I said, Alexa, my Alexa just started talking.
That's the world we live in. My Wendy calls on the phone in the middle of our interview, and it's
That's
just normal.
me.
We're like,
You
hey,
said Alexa, yes, and I responded about the floor lamp.
hey, Alexa,
I'm working exactly.
Alexa, cancel.
shut up. So, cut. So how did it end? You asked me. What happens? He gets up, they converge, and they grab him, and he's going to leave now. He's a big star. He's like, you got to get him in and out of wherever he goes.
Of
right?
course.
So now they grab him. He goes running by, and as he runs by me, he just played music with me for, 2 hours or whatever it was.
Right.
And he stuck his hand out like that, and he slapped me a big 5 with, he's got this meaty hands, and he just like bam, and I was like, boom, oh, and then he just kept running, and I was like, I think that was good. So I went, later, I got a phone call from Liberty, and he said, hey, Billy really, really loved you, man. And I said, he goes, I'm telling you, I'm gonna try and get you this gig. He wants to tour. He's really excited. He wants to tour with Elton. And I think it's going to happen, man. So just hang tight.
Now, are you guys still doing the
Yeah,
All-Star thing? You're still doing
yeah.
the All-Star.
And then there was some more time that passed, and Billy came out to an All-Star gig in Rhode Island. He took his boat from Long Island, and he came, and he brought, and Cropper was, and there was a lot of wine, and he brought these 2 Magnums, and he walked in. He goes, "We're going deep tonight, guys." And and so we drank and made fun times, and I got the gig, and then
You got it that night?
kind of that I sealed it. Well, I had to do one other kind of thing where I had to go meet Brian Ruggles he was the front of house sound person, and he and Billy are like this, and I had to go and hang with Brian as a rite of passage. Liberty and I went to this club near his home, and we hung with him at a bar and just talked about what do you like to do? Like, who are you? Like, what is your scene? And I'm like, this and that and the other thing. And, and he was like, okay. And I passed the test. So then I got this call about the gig, and we're going on tour, and would you like to join us? And yes, and here you need to talk finances with this man and discuss the business of this and that, and then you'll have the gig. And I said, yes, I'll do all of that. And I did it. It was like a corporate thing. It was really exciting. And I met with Peter Yellen, who was this Peter Yellen, I forgot Peter something. I went and met with him, and he sat down and he said, okay, well, we're gonna talk money now. And I'm like, okay. And I thought, do I want to really push this thing and get a lot of money? It's a once in a lifetime thing. Maybe I should. Then I'm like, no, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you just let it happen, and they say in business, sometimes you let them quote you the price.
Right.
So I did that. Dang, I should have asked for more money. So I took less than most guys would probably take, I think. So then, because Pino Palladino was going to do it, and he had asked for a lot of money. Anyway, so here's what happened. The first couple of weeks on tour, my lawyer said to me, you need to renegotiate your contract. So I went to Peter and I said, Peter, can I talk to you about something? He said, sure. I said, I was nervous, and we were talking about money and stuff, and but can we renegotiate that? And he goes, David, let me just tell you something. I like you. I said, okay. He says, but
don't fuck it up.
I'm 100% inflexible. Do you understand me? I said, of course. Never mind.
Yeah.
Don't fuck it up.
Fuck it up.
And I stayed in the band for however long I stayed.
How long did you stay?
Oh, about 3 years. It wasn't a long run.
That's a pretty good run. And so
3 or 4 years.
And so why did that end?
These are great stories, and I'm going to dish the dirt.
Dish the dirt. Dish
only
the
with
dirt.
you, because I've known you for
me.
40 years. Okay? Nobody knows these stories. Wendy and Liberty. Well, what happened was
Liberty's got a story of his own. Yeah.
You want to hear the story for real?
Yes, I want to hear the story.
I'm going to tell you a very clean version of it, and it's perfect.
No, tell us the truth, David.
Okay, the truth it is.
Yeah.
So we're in the garden, Madison Square Garden. We're down underneath there. We're going to play. And there's a television set up there on the wall where the athletes change and all that, and the TV's on, right? So it's going along, and I'm there, and I'm dressed, and everybody's down there, and in comes Billy Joel. He got his Armani suit on, and he walks in, and we're all gathering around him, and he says, I wanted to tell you guys something. I knew you were going to have the TV on, and down at the end of the hall, Peter Jennings is down there. He was a newscaster back then.
I remember Peter, sure.
I'm going to announce my retirement, and I didn't want you to see it on the television without me telling you what was going on. I thought that would be weird because we're going to go play a show and all that. They wanted to do it here at the Garden in the morning, right before the show, so I did it. And anyway, so look, I'm just telling you, I'm going to retire.
This is his retirement, and this is like in the late 90s?
Yeah. You remember when that went down?
Kinda. Is that when he drove into the house?
Ish. Right around there.
Yeah.
The last gig I ever played with him was on the night of changing, when it was called the, what did they call it when the computers were going to change and the zeros? It was 99 to 2000. It was a big millennium.
Yeah, the millennium.
The new millennium. We did a double album at Madison Square Garden, which is kind of a legendary album, and people talk about it a lot. I get a lot of email about it. A lot of people call me about it, actually. But anyway, so he goes, so if I were you, guys, look, I'm just telling you, find something else. I said, damn. He walked out. I looked up at Liberty. Was that real? He went, that was pretty real. I said, yeah, that was real. So I got up the next morning and I went around New York. We were in New York City and playing at the Garden. I got some rock and roll currency. I'm going to go around and talk to some people. I went and saw some people, and just so happened, this lady was booking a television show that was going to compete at the time with Rosie O'Donnell on another network. a big network, and it was going to be big money and a big show, and they were going to put a lot of money into it. And I said, well, she said, you'd be perfect as the MD. You know, you wear a suit, you get out there and you talk to the star. His name was Ainsley Harriott. He was a cook. He was a chef. And then there was a New Orleans chef at the time that was doing big things. Remember him?
Kinda.
He was a big time guy. He was everywhere. Not Amel. What was his name? He became very famous and has lots of products and stuff. You've seen
Emerald? You talking about Emerald?
Emerald. That's him.
Yeah.
They were gonna make him like, you know, that was kind of big at the time.
He was Bam. He was like the Bam guy.
I can't believe I'm talking so fast because I know we only have an hour and I'm busting. I'm going.
No, we don't have an hour. We have as much time as we want.
Oh, okay. Well, so I go and I meet with some of the people. There were 3 women, which I loved, and they were pro David Santos on this. They were like, you know, we think you can get this. I'm like, okay. So assemble a band of New York guys. You know, I had a lot of friends in New York, and I assembled a great band, and then flew out to go play with Billy. And then on the day off, because Billy plays show, day off, show, day off, show, day off. That's how.
Who's in the band that you assembled? Anybody I know?
Yeah, Stu Hadjopoulos was the percussionist who was with Cyndi Lauper. There was a guitar player named Alan Schwartz, who is a fixture around New York as a session guy, and I loved him. He was a great player. Judy Albano was the keyboard player. I mentioned her the other day. She's friends with someone we won't talk about, but you remember her? Yeah, so Judy. She changed her last name, but anyway, it was a good band. 2 girls and 3 guys.
Oh, I know who you're talking
Scarpula.
about.
Huh? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Scarpula was the sax player who later got this gig with Billy Joel in some weird turn of events. So anyway, so here's the thing. I'm auditioning for a television show, but I'm playing with Billy Joel on tour. So I would fly back, rehearse the killer band, fly back and make the Billy Joel show with nobody knowing. And I did this about, 5 times, and now it was down to me and one guy out of 40 people who auditioned. It was almost there. He ended up getting it, by the way. So it was down.
I don't remember that show or who the band.
It lasted 1 year. So it was a dumb move on my part. Billy never retired. The show I didn't get. Oh, I had to send a sub to Billy because the final audition was on the day of a concert in St. Louis with Billy Joel at a stadium. And the girls were like, David, we've been working so hard. We're gonna get this TV show. I know we're gonna get it, but I can't do it. I got a show with Billy. Oh, you got to send a sub. Oh, was all that. Lots of phone calls, lots of meetings and talking. And then I said, okay, let me talk to Billy, Billy's manager. I talked to Billy's manager, and he said, we might be able to Learjet you out. You got to pay. You fly in, do the audition, and then come fly back and still make the gig. Nobody does that with Billy Joel, but we make an exception, like 30 grand you can pay. I said, all right, we'll work it out. Then let's try see what he couldn't work it out. Try a helicopter, couldn't do that. So it was like commercial airlines aren't going to work. You're going to have to talk to Billy. I'll set it up. Okay. So they set up a coffee table down under the stadium. I walk in. He's back there steaming his suit. And he goes, oh, come in, David. And here, sit down. And I sit. He comes over, sits down across the table, coffee table, 2 couches they had brought in and made it nice, And I'm sitting there, and I said, Billy, man, I got to send a sub to you, man. He goes, what? I said, yeah. It's like, look. He goes, well, what's going on? I said, I told him. And he goes, oh, so what is it? It's like a TV show? I said, it's a TV show. SAG money, after money. You said you were going to retire. I'm just a working stiff. I found something. So you retire, and then I go and get a gig on a TV thing as an MD, man. It would be pretty cool, man. Is it cool? Can I send you a sub? I had Will Lee lined up.
Oh, he's a pretty good sub.
Will was excited about it. He said, yeah, I'll come in and slay the gig, man. I'll do it. Yeah, you're covered. And I had actually already, FedExed him the CDs because I thought it was going to go well. And he said, "What is it again?" I said, "It's a TV show, you know, like a TV, like a Paul Schaefer. I'd be like a Paul Schaefer." "Ah, so you're going to send a sub to me, to my stadium gig and go do an audition?" "Yeah, yes." "Oh, well, I mean, you got to do that." He stood up, he walked over and put his hand on my shoulder. "You got to do that." I said, "Yeah, right? Yeah." And then he walked away. He went over there and started steaming his shirt, his suit. And I went, "It's over? I guess it's over." So I stood up and I went to the door and I went, "This didn't feel right. I didn't like the way that ended." I said, "Yeah, yeah, Billy." He looked back at me. I said, "You know what? Never mind. You know what? What was I thinking? Oh, man, look, forget it. I'd rather play with you. What, a TV show? I don't want to do that. I'm sorry. Never mind. Never mind." And he just went like this. And I went, "Oh." So I opened the door to leave. And I turned around. I said, "Well, I'll get Will Lee. I got Will Lee to cover for me. You won't even miss me." And he goes, "I don't want to use Will Lee. I got the guy." I said, "You got the guy?" "Okay." He already had a guy in mind, and he's still with him to this day.
Who is it?
I don't even know the guy. Andy something. Andy Sishan. He got the gig and kept it, and I was, ass out. I went and did my little audition, and it didn't happen. I flew back in, made that double live album that night at the Garden. We went back to the Garden. We did a live album, which is a great album. I'm happy I did that to sign off on that whole thing. And then went on with my business.
How did you get the word that you were out?
Good question. Here's the interesting thing about that. And these are all these creative visualization things and all this creating your own reality stuff. I had moved to Nashville, and Wendy and I were setting up shop. I came home from that live album, and I got home.
What were you due to have a break after the live album?
Yes, there was a break. Billy took long breaks sometimes. So like a year to rest. So I came off the road, and I got this call like a week into my hang at the house with Wendy. This guy, "Hey man, you want to go down and audition for John Fogerty with me?" He was a drummer.
Oh, damn.
I know. I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, man, let's go. Let's go knock this out. Come on." And we did. And I got the gig. The drummer didn't get the gig, unfortunately, but I got the gig. And no one got the gig because Kenny Aronoff he came back to the gig. He wasn't.
I know Kenny.
You know Kenny. He was at the Smashing Pumpkins at the time. And they took some time off, so he went back to Fogerty. I got the gig with John, and we went on the road. When we were in New Orleans, at the Superdome thingy there, and I was in the hotel, and I thought of Max, the manager guy that helped me with Billy trying to get me to that gig, and I owed him. I really like Max. He's a wonderful person. And so John was looking for a manager, Fogerty. So I called up Max because he lived in New Orleans. And I was in my hotel room, and I said, "Max, I am with John Fogerty, man. And we are here at the such and such hotel, and we're heading over to the dome, the New Orleans Dome at about 3:00. And this was around noon. Would you like to come over and meet John? He's looking for a manager type guy." And he said, "Yeah, that would be great. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, you don't know." I said, "I don't know what. What don't I know?" He said, "We're rehearsing." I said, "We are?" He said, No, we, not you. I went, oh, wait a minute. What? I sat down on the bed.
That's how you found out you lost
Yeah.
the.
I said, wait, what? You were rehearsing? Like you got another bass player? Yes. I said, but so you're saying I lost my gig? He said, don't start this shit, man. He was a buddy. And I said, and I go, I'm not starting any shit. I'm just saying, so I'm out. I lost the gig. And he said, yeah, we got a guy. And I said, I lost my gig. He said, David, it was never your gig. Boom. That's the way to look at it. I love Max. He's a very wise guy. I said, you're right. You're right. I guess you don't want to come over and meet John. He said, no, but thank you. And I will remember you for that. Thank you. And then bye. I haven't seen him since then. That was 2000.
But now you already had this regular gig with Fogerty, right?
Now I got a good gig with Fogerty. Yeah. This is at that time. I lost that gig eventually. We all do. My buddy was telling me, you ought to write a book called Fired.
How did you lose the Fogerty gig? How long were you with Fogerty? That's a great title, by the way.
This is a great.
Except people will associate it with you know who.
Yes.
You're fired.
Yes,
Yeah.
fired. You're fired. Yeah, we don't want to associate with that.
No.
Good Lord. Oh, God.
How long were you with Fogerty?
Just the thought. 13 years.
Oh.
It was great.
Well, that was meant to be.
That was meant to be. And I made 4 albums with John.
Wow.
Which is great. I made 1 with Billy. Now, John, Billy, I think, is a bigger artist in the big scope of things like ticket sales, record sales. But John is just right up there with the legend,
He's formidable.
Formidable. So I went on the road with John. How did I lose the John gig? Well,
13 years, a long time.
Yes. Toward the end of it, John's wife was trying to make, she was stepping into a management role.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I had gotten a little complacent, I don't know, but she asked me one day while sort of, looking at me and saying, why don't you, could you move around more?
What?
Yeah.
After 13 years?
Yeah. She was trying to put together a Vegas-y kind of thing and make it big time and pyro going off and all that. And we had toured with Tina Turner, and that was a giant thing, with that kind of thing going on, pyro, dancers and all this. And
sure.
Then John would come up and sing Proud Mary that he wrote, and Tina had a hit with it. So they had a moment with that. It was incredible.
So now what year is this?
That was in the, that would have been
late 2000s?
Yeah, like teens, like 2013 or 11, 12, 13 in there. I've forgotten now, but I just remember the amount of years I was with John, 13 years. So I guess it would be 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you need to really kind of think about that, maybe moving around a little more. And I just realized that I'm not that guy that much, that runs around and sticks my tongue out at girls in the front row and all that. So we went our separate ways, and that's okay. It happened.
And what's interesting? Good friends of Snuffy's that he knows from Texas. Their son and their son-in-law are the bass player and the drummer with Fogerty now.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You probably have a wonderful gig and love it.
I imagine so. I hope so.
I do too.
You're a long time out of there.
Long time. Then I did Melissa Etheridge. I jumped right on.
So how'd you get Melissa?
Melissa Etheridge, I got just a phone call out of the blue, and and I had nothing to do with it at all. No hustle. Just the phone rang, and it was a guy, and he said, "Hey," he was a bass player that lived in Nashville, Steve Mackey, who I love, and he plays with Trisha Yearwood right now. He's with her and others, but he does a lot of recording, and we've been friends for a long time. And he just said, "Hey man, you know what? I got a call about this Melissa Etheridge tour, and I can't do it. I thought you would be great on it. Would you be interested in that?" And I said, "Melissa, yeah." So here's the number. Call this guy, Stephen Gramm. I called him up, and He said, yeah, your name came up. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you called. Would you like to talk to Melissa about it? And I said, yeah, absolutely.
Did you
Yes.
know her music, or did you go to the
I
CD
did. I
store
did
and
know her. Of course, I know her music. I loved her music, right? We all do.
yes, and you also went to the store and bought all the CDs, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, you see,
You are
because you're
so smart.
prepared. You're prepared. You know how to do the gig.
So Melissa called me up. I was waiting by the phone, you know, that she'll be calling you at this time, noon. And it was a little afternoon, you know, they're busy, got people like her and all that. And she got to it. And I picked up the phone and hello. And she said, is this David Santos? And I said, yes. And she said, this is Melissa Etheridge. And you know, that gravelly voice. And she said, are you my bass player? I said,
Wow.
yes,
That's really cool.
I am. And that lasted a good 7 years.
And
That ended.
what ended that, Dave?
That
Fired.
this is incredible. That's why I write the book Fired.
That's right.
I got the Crosby, Stills and Nash story too,
Well, wait, we have to go back in time for
and the
that one.
Neville brothers.
What happened with Melissa? And you
This
played with
was
Toto.
I
Did you do
did.
something with Toto? So
Yes,
Steve Porcaro's a very good friend.
I love Steve Porcaro.
I love Steve Porcaro. He has a new album out that's absolutely fabulous.
I'll
And
look
I interviewed
forward to meeting.
Lukather, and Joe Williams is a great friend of
I
Snuffy's.
love both of those guys. Now,
Yeah.
let me just say that I didn't tour with them in the sense that it's a tour. I did a week with them.
Okay, but wait, let's go back to Melissa before we get to Toto.
Yeah,
So what happened with Melissa
the
after
Toto story.
7 years?
After 7 good long years, there was lots of fun, lots of great, you know, playing and some recording. And then COVID hit. Let's talk about COVID for a
Let's
second.
talk about COVID.
COVID really took us by storm, didn't it? It really messed us up.
I haven't recovered from COVID. I'm sitting in my house doing this show. I used to go to your house and interview you in your house, or you would come to my house and we'd sit together. COVID's ruined everything. COVID's fucked things up.
Tell me more about you and COVID, and then I'll get to my story.
No, I'm serious. You know, I used to have 50 women in my living room once a month, and I would have shows, and Earth, Wind, and Fire, and the Monkees, and the Turtles, and Carl Reiner, and all these people performed in my living room. And I did it for a decade, and COVID ended it. And I haven't started it up again. And I used to do this show in person, either in the celebrity's home or in my home. And we'd be face to face and all of that. It's just changed. Snuffy and I never leave the house.
I know.
We almost never leave the
I'm
house.
with you. Oh, and so yes, I think everything has changed. I don't understand why it's changed so badly, but it has.
Because we spent so much time at home. I'm socially phobic now, I think, a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the business has changed.
And the business has changed.
Do you notice the business has changed?
Everything's changed. It has changed. I used to be in clubs like every night seeing my friends play and stuff. I don't do that shit anymore. You know, once in a blue moon, we go see somebody play, but we don't do that anymore.
I know.
I used to go to screenings, 4 times a week. I haven't been to one since COVID. What the hell?
Why?
I'm telling you, I've gotten socially it gets really easy to get used to staying home. So what happened with you? So COVID happened. So were you guys in the middle of a tour? What happened when COVID?
Okay. Yeah. So when COVID happened, you remember we were all in it and it was all terrible. And, we were going to stay home. And like a lot of my friends.
Wait, when COVID hit, were you in the middle of something? What were you in the middle of?
I was on tour with Melissa.
You were on, so the tour got canceled?
Yeah. We were touring and then COVID happened and Melissa stayed home and did a thing called Etheridge TV, like you're doing. She had this TV persona and she would learn about playing hand drums and guitars and basses and things and sequence them,
Uh-huh.
so that it was just all her. She didn't have to interact with anybody.
Uh-huh.
And we were all trying to survive COVID. There were people dying from COVID.
Yes,
And a
there
lot of
were.
people deny that now. I don't know why, but they like to make a big deal of, like, mask wearing, like it was this horrible government thing. And, don't tread on me nonsensical belief systems about you're not supposed to wear a mask. But I remember standing in the grocery line and some guy coughed and I actually felt spittle on my shirt and the back of my head. And I turned around and looked at him. He had on a camo outfit and,
A what outfit?
camouflage,
Oh,
he was one of
camo,
those
yeah.
guys, he was like an inch away from shooting somebody, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
God.
And I was like, dude, did you just cough on me? Like, really? We've got a communicable disease. We've got a bad disease here. And you're just coughing on me? He goes, oh, really? Yeah, go get a shot, And I'm like, what kind of brain do you have? Really? Medicine's a good thing. Science, like, we're trying to figure out how to stop this spread of this
There has to be a lot of that shit going on in Nashville, though.
Oh,
My
God.
perception is there's a lot of that going on in
We
Nashville.
were trying to survive it. So Melissa, so she says, I think I'm going to do this tour, but COVID has died down. There were some people venturing out into the world to do
So
it.
this is like 2021-ish?
Something like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And Jackson Browne had gotten COVID. Remember
I
hearing
saw
about that?
Jackson the night before he got diagnosed at a
See?
show in LA, and then he flew to New
What,
York to do the Beacon, and he got COVID.
remember that?
I
This is all
remember
this
that.
stuff.
I
Okay.
remember that.
Then he got well, and some other people had
Tom
gotten.
Hanks and Rita Wilson had already gotten it.
Yep, that. And I believe there was going to be some returning, the very beginning of coming out of our little caves to play some shows. And Melissa was going to be in on that. We were. And so was Jackson. He was going to come out, and James Taylor, and there were a few others. And we found ourselves in similar camps, and we were going out on the road at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on the road, and I got COVID.
Well, wait. Oh, shit. Now, when you first went on the road, I remember friends that went out on the road. Were you guys, you weren't wearing masks on stage, but you
Oh
were.
no, we were wearing
You
masks.
were.
Oh yeah,
You were.
masks on stage, masks in the bus.
But you weren't
masks,
doing any backstage stuff, no signing, no
none
any
of
of that. None of that. So,
Melissa eventually started doing some of that.
but so now, and you got COVID right away?
Oh my God, no, I did quite a few, like a few months. We survived it. We were very
You'd
careful.
already had the shot, right?
Yeah, I had the shots, and no one was getting it. We were very good at it. No one was allowed on the bus. No one was allowed in catering. No one was allowed backstage. No one was the crew
Right.
was the danger. They had to go in. The local crew and our crew would intermingle, and you don't know who it is. Well, there was a girl that did merch and sold T-shirts and things, and she had a mask, but she was out in the crowd, and she got it, and I got it from her. When I, like a dummy, in the morning, I went for breakfast at the venue, and I shouldn't have done that. I'm cheap, so I show up and get a free breakfast down at the venue with the crew and hang out a little bit, and then just talk to folks. And I love the crew guys; they're all my friends. But I got COVID. I went to my hotel. We were in Orlando. Went to my hotel room. I was feeling kind of shitty.
How soon after you went out for that breakfast did you start getting symptoms?
2 or 3 days, 3 or 4 days, something like that.
And that was that first round of COVID, right? It was bad. Was it bad?
It was real bad. I was hurting bad. I remember I said, I'm not feeling so good.
Did you have to stay in the hotel where you were at?
Yeah.
You got quarantined?
I got quarantined. I called Steve, and he said, stay where you are. I'll send up another couple of test things to see if maybe it was a false positive. So I tested positive, and he sent up some more. I took those, and yes, positive, positive, positive. So I had COVID, and I knew I had it. I felt like shit. I couldn't
Mhm.
hardly move. I was really just decimated. I would lay down on the bed and just stay completely immobile and try not to move any part of my body so that I could heal, without moving no effort at all in living. Just lay there.
That was pre-Paxlovid, so there was no medication, right?
Right.
Hmm.
Well, they went on down the road. They had to get a bass player,
Oh,
and they did, and that's fine. They whatever. I never came back after that. And there could have been
well,
attitudes
so you didn't
too.
really get fired. You got COVID.
Well, I think I got COVID, and life is a certain way. Like maybe I had become maybe my positive energy was waning. That's what keeps you in those gigs. That positivity that we had discussed earlier. Maybe I had become a little less than positive. I don't know. I try to relive it sometimes, but the tour end. The 10 days went by that I was in this room. They were off touring, and negative. I tested negative. Was testing, quite a bit. And oh wow, I don't have it. I tested again. Oh, good, I'm good. And I called and I said, hey, I'm well. And Steven said, oh, good. All right, we'll get you a car, and you go back to Nashville, and then we'll talk later. Oh, great. I packed and everything, and I ran downstairs and got in this car well, and survived it. Went to the airport, got home, and I came in, and the phone rang, and it was Melissa. And she said, how you doing? I said, man, that was rough. I'm sorry I had to leave you guys. Like, she goes, no, it's cool. And I said, okay, what are we doing now? And she said, well, they had another guy. That's how life is. And he was doing a great job. And I said, no problem. Everything's cool. I'll catch you next time somewhere. And that was that. So that's how I lost that gig. But that was really not fired, I guess.
No,
That doesn't go in the fired book.
I don't think so.
No. Good though. You never know. It gets a special mention. It's
Well,
an asterisk.
it could be the last chapter in the book.
The last chapter.
So okay, so
Toto.
so let's go back. Okay, so
Yeah.
tell me about Toto. How'd you get that?
Toto was just a fluke. The drummer and I had played years ago with Larry Carlton, the jazz guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
And we had bonded and played together a lot. And in other things, we'd show up on a session.
Who was the drummer?
Shannon Forrest. He's one of my closest friends. I love Shannon. Well, one day, phone rang and it was Shannon. Hey man, do you think you might want to go out and do some gigs with Toto? I said,
What year is this?
tell me about it. That was about 10 years ago, 2015. And I said, well, what is it? Well, tell me about this. And by the way, are people watching this right now?
Yeah.
You can go to YouTube and type in Toto, Baloise. Valois, I think.
BAL what?
Baloise.
Okay.
I'm not sure of the pronunciation of that, but it's like, it's not Belois. It looks it might be. But anyway, just type that in and it'll come up. It's a 2.5-hour show I did with Toto. The way that happened was, that was the show. And he's the first show, and I played a few more other things that weren't televised, but that was fly to Sweden and do a television show for 2.5 hours, live concert, and that's it. It's on YouTube, the whole thing from beginning to end.
I got it here. There's
Yeah,
like
watch
one video is an hour, 9 minutes. There's a few.
The longest one is the fun one to watch, and that I did that with no charts and no rehearsal and very minimal sound check.
Wow.
Very minimal. It was like, hurry up, let's do this quick, So you fly in, and there's Lukather and those guys, and the tunes. Yeah, yeah. Okay, good. So tomorrow morning we'll limo over and
Did you do the same thing? Did you go to the store and buy all the
yeah,
CDs and
yeah. But I didn't. Yeah, I had about 3 weeks to learn it, but I was working a lot. I didn't have a lot, and Wendy's father was feeling poorly, and I was driving to Memphis a lot too, and so I
Mhm.
didn't really get a chance to shed that music that much. Although Shannon had me over to his house, he's got a studio in his backyard, and I went over there and burned through the tunes a few times with him on bass and drums, and that was cool. And he coached me through it. Then it's like, okay, yeah, man, it'll be good. All right, flew out, did it, and then there were a few other shows in a row, and then came home. So that was the end of that. And then that's when I jumped on the Melissa gig. I was gonna do, Lukather had asked me to do some more, but I
Uh-oh, you just froze. David! Oh no. David, you froze. No,
I'm
no.
here. I'm
There you
here.
go. You froze for a minute.
Oh, I'm here.
So what happened? Okay, so then you said there was a Fleetwood Mac thing.
Okay, well, what happened on the Toto was this Leland
Oh,
Sklar and Nathan East. Leland was going off to do.
Lee's a good friend of mine. I
I bet
love
he
Lee.
is.
I love
He
him.
was doing Phil Collins, and the other guy, Nathan East, was doing Clapton.
Of course he was.
And so they were. Nathan had finished the last Toto tour.
Right.
Lee was going to pick up on the other one, and there was a week or 10
Oh,
days,
right in between the two of them.
and this show happened in there. So I
Wow.
did that. That's all that was. I wasn't in the band, although I'm listed in
No,
the
that got nicely documented.
It was pretty good to have that. Now, Fleetwood Mac, that is an amazing story.
Wait, so, all right, so wait, before you get to Fleetwood Mac, so the
Yep.
Toto thing, how are they with you when you're there for just a week? Do
They were
those guys,
wonderful.
they are?
I love them. Listen, there's a lot of stress in this business. It's not like lives are at stake or like you're a doctor or anything like that. But there's still a mental stress. It takes a certain
Sure.
constitution to put yourself on the line and do that. And it's just a performer. It's nothing like it's a big deal, but it's like I said, it's not life changing, but it's a big deal to those involved in it.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, like everything is, every little thing in your life should be a big deal.
hmm
You know,
Well, and then on the other hand, don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff.
Yeah,
So
it
there's
is.
like a balance between those two things somewhere.
You're very wise, and I can see why this show is going well for you, and that people would love to do it. Yes, it's true. And
Thank you, David.
it's very cathartic and yeah, it's illuminating. Yes, don't sweat the small stuff is a very big point. They were nice, and Steve was cool. The only thing is, I'm not sure exactly how that ended, but it was Steve asking if I could do some more dates and telling me he was going to call me at a later date about it, and then Melissa coming and calling me for sure and saying, "Are you my bass player?" And I
Yeah,
took that.
of course.
I took that,
Of course.
and then he found out when he called back and said, "I thought you were going to do the gigs with us and all that," but there was no contract, there was no discussion.
Right, right.
It was just happened to be both were in my wheelhouse, and Melissa came first, and I jumped on that.
Have you
Um,
seen Lukather since then?
I have only seen him very casually when he came to see Wendy and the Time Jumpers, which you're going to see.
Yes, I am. I'm
And I-
so excited. Snuffy loves the Time Jumpers. He's
Oh.
so excited.
You're going to love it. Wendy's a big part of that.
Oh, that's so great.
Okay, the Fleetwood Mac. So what happened on that?
I just want to say, because of Wendy and David, we're also
Let's
going
talk
to
about
see
Wendy.
Wendy at the Grand Ole Opry.
Tell
Oh my
us, tell
God, my
everybody.
lifetime dream come true. I'm so excited.
Wendy, are you home? I heard her come in. She's
Oh,
hiding from us. Wendy, are you here? She says, I look a mess. No, she doesn't.
she's, I don't believe that, but Wendy's going to have to do this show because I have to hear all the
You'll
Wendy
do the
stories.
show later and tell the story. Okay, Fleetwood Mac. So
Yeah.
what happened with Fleetwood Mac? This is a fascinating story. This is really fascinating. And
Okay, I love
I-
that.
I
What
don't know-
year is this?
Let me see. What year was this? Wendy, when was the Fleetwood Mac stuff? Was that 2013-ish or something?
Oh, so not that long ago. I mean, 12 years is like, it's like
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, it's like yesterday. Oh my God! You know what happened was, yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
tell the
I'll tell
story.
the story. Wendy's
Okay.
yelling the figures at me. Okay, so what happened was, yeah, this is fascinating. I had done some recording with him, with the drummer, of course, Mick Fleetwood. We bonded, and there was the one session that was Steve Ferroni, who you know,
Very well. Love the
and
Ferrari.
myself. I know you love him, and he loves you. He's in Nashville right now.
You know,
Tonight.
I think I knew that, but I think he's leaving like the day we get there or something. There might be, oh, now that we're getting there on the 23rd, he might still be there for one day.
You should call him.
Yes, I'm
You
gonna
should hang
call him
out.
tonight.
Do
Okay. Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, here's what happened. So Ferroni and I had been recording together quite a bit in that little window of time, and then
Well, what were you and Ferroni doing?
just all kinds of things together.
That's how Snuffy met you, that you were playing with
That's
Ferroni.
right. You saw the picture. Yeah, and that carried over and into that era. And so it might have been 2010. You know, like these things all blend together. But
Right.
uh, so what happened was with Mick Fleetwood, he came in on this session because he was friends with the artist that we were working on. This indie kind of a strange character that was doing this cool rock and roll thing, and Ferroni played on half of it, and Mick played on the other half, and I played
Wow.
bass on the whole thing, and we were hanging out a lot.
That's a
So
lucky indie artist you had,
yeah,
all of you
yes,
guys.
yeah. His name was Senator. His name was Senator. What? Who names his son Senator? But it's very cool. So we did this thing, and so Mick called me on 3 or 4 other dates alone to come and do some overdubs on some of his stuff. And he dug me, and it was a good time. So I get this call on the middle of, like, I was on a recording session in Nashville, and you're not supposed to leave your phone on a recording date. Tell Snuffy I apologize. Okay. But I had it on, and it was just on. The sound was down, and it was sitting on my music stand, and the drummer was ready to count the tune off. We were cutting, and my phone lit up, and I looked, and I was like, oh shit. It was Marty Hom, who was the road tour manager for Fleetwood Mac and the Stones and others. And I'm like, oh wait, you don't get a lot of those calls like that, right? And the drummer was like, 1, 2, what? And he goes, just wait, sorry. And I picked it up. You're not supposed to do this, but I had to. And I ran outside. They're all looking at me like, and I said, Marty, listen, what is it? He goes, can you be in Norway tomorrow to play with Fleetwood Mac?
Norway?
Yeah. I said, the answer is yes. And the answer is yes to anything you have to say from this point forward, but I can't talk to you. And I ran back in, hung up, ran back in, and I played. It was like, what are you doing, man? He's got the A team in Nashville, and like, who the hell do you think you are? The vibe was weird. And I understood. I had to do it, you know? I had to. They would have called
That's
somebody
why
else.
you're fired.
Yeah.
That's why that's why you're fired.
God
God.
flames. Well, so I went home, drove to Spring Hill where I live. It's about 35 minutes outside. Wendy was on the road with somebody. Forgot who, might be Julio Iglesias. And I came home, and I was waiting for Marty to call back, and I was like, I blew it by not talking to him. I blew it. Fleetwood Mac Norway tomorrow, man. That's huge.
Wow.
And but then the phone rang, well into it. But he said tomorrow. So
Yeah.
I started on this laptop downloading Fleetwood Mac music. All of it. That was the iTunes days,
Right.
And it all came down like hundreds of dollars worth of Fleetwood Mac, just coming down my thing. I'm watching it all just flow into my iTunes. Well, okay. Then I went for a walk in my neighborhood, just to clear my mind and wait, and who's going to call me? What is this? He said, tomorrow, that's a long flight. The flight's going to be tonight.
Now,
soon."
David, did you know Fleetwood? Had you played
No,
Fleetwood? No, not at all.
nothing.
Oh, shit.
Exactly. And that music is hard.
It's complicated.
Really is. It's not, it's harder than you think. You're hearing it and you think the bass player's just playing boom, 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 boom. But that's hard. That universe in of itself, just to play that at the right place when you need to be playing it in a stadium with Stevie Nicks singing with that killer voice and all that, it's just all got to be there. It can't be anything else. So it's restrictive in the improvisational aspect. It's very specific.
I watched a video you did, by the way, excuse me for interrupting you.
Okay.
You
Tell
talked
me.
for just like 5 minutes about music, and I'm actually going to play it from my son-in-law, who's a jazz multi-instrumentalist, because you were talking about how basically less is more. And being a mature musician, you play less, right? And I love all of that because
That's a good point. Yeah,
I
and
love that.
that is what John McVie excels at. He
And you talked about playing that right note, but at the exact right place at the exact right time, that one note. Yeah, it's brilliant.
How hard is that? How hard, really, and profound is that?
Mhm. Yes.
It's so you could just blanket with a bunch of nonsense.
You can't
And
teach that. You got to feel
no,
that. You got to learn that, right? You can't teach that.
can't teach that.
Mhm.
All right, so to wind that up, what happened was I went. Oh, Mick called.
S-
I was out in
Mick
the street.
called?
Mick himself called. Yeah, Mick
Wow.
called, and I saw it light up. Now, mind you, we're not best friends. I mean, I know Mick, but
Right.
we're not like buddies.
Yeah.
He might not even recognize me now. That 10 years later, whatever it was, 12, 15 years later. But so there it was. I was on my walk, and the music was still downloading here and in the house, and oh, there he is. Okay,
By the
there
way,
it
a
is.
friend of yours, I think, is on here. Deborah Jones Johnson. You know her?
Yeah, I
Boy, does
love
she
her.
love you. Okay.
That's Wendy's sister.
Oh,
She's the eldest.
she's on here loving you.
She's the greatest. She's I love her to
Hi,
death.
Deborah. Okay.
Oh, so people are watching me talk right
Yeah,
now?
they're watching
Oh
you
my
talk.
God. All right. So here's how this happened. So I
Hmm.
said, let me just stand under this street lamp out here and just pause and focus on this phone call. And I was like, hello? And he said, David, he had his British accent. And he said, yeah, can you fly to Norway tomorrow? And tonight, but for tomorrow.
Hmm.
And I said, yes, tell me. And he said, well, John's not feeling well. John had some health issues that had to be dealt with. It's very serious stuff. We all have to face these things in our lives, and no one's going to live forever. It's just a reality thing. And he had some issues that he's dealing with still. And I
Oh,
said, okay, tell me what to do. And he goes, well, don't tell me you can do this if you can't. I said, okay, what? He goes, can you clone John McVie in 24 hours? And I said, yes.
and this is someone who knows no Fleetwood Mac music.
None.
Oh my God.
And I said, yeah. And he said, okay, we're done here. And then he hung up. And then 10 minutes later, I ran back to the house. The music had been downloaded. I threw some stuff in a suitcase. I think I might have called Wendy. And then I just prepared to learn the music on the plane
Oh shit.
and not with an instrument in my hand. So I, got some paper and pencil, my earphones. I knew it was going to be a first class flight. So I'll be able to sit up all night. I didn't sleep at all. When I flew over, I had a lot of it charted out, and then when I got to the hotel, I had a really bad headache. from not sleeping. I don't do well without sleep. I need at least a few hours of sleep, but I didn't sleep at all. And there was a little jet lag involved, of course. I got to the hotel, and this guy was I heard this voice behind me in the hall as I was, quickly getting, the sun was up, and I was quickly getting to my room, and I hear this guy, is that David Santos? Is that David Santos? He's kind of whispering though. Is that David Santos? And I turned back, and he's got his head out the door. And I said, yes. He goes, come here. So I come walking over, and it's across the hall from these two big double doors in this old, really old, beautiful hotel. And that was Mick's suite. And his valet had a room across the hall. And he goes, I'm Mick's valet. I said, yes. And he goes, come in the room. All I really wanted to do was get to my room and take a hot shower and then take some Advil and prepare my charts and get ready for whatever I had to do.
And you still haven't picked up your bass to play any of this stuff.
I hadn't picked up my bass.
Oh my God.
So I brought a Fender Precision bass because that's really what I play the most when I play. And I went in there, and he goes, so listen, I know you're in a hurry, but we're going to leave soon. And I want to talk to you about this. We got 25 trucks out here. We've got lighting and stage and people, and it's a big deal. There are hundreds of people out here, and we're counting on you, man.
Oh my God, pressure. Oh God. It's all on your shoulders, David.
Yeah. And he goes, listen, the reason I tell you this is because these guys have been together for 50 years. Okay. So like Lindsay is tough, and it matters to him. Everything matters to Lindsay. So he may take your bass out of your hand and play something at you, then you just play it back at him, And I said, I got you. And, he wants to know that and he's going to make sure it's the right stuff. And I said, I got you. Okay. And he goes, if you can handle Lindsay. And I said, man, I can handle Stephen Stills. I can handle Lindsay.
Oh, right. We forgot about Crosby, Stills and Nash. Yeah, go ahead.
So I raced to my room, get in the shower. The water's just pouring on my neck. And I'm like, this hot water feels good. And the phone's ringing. You can see the light. And it's like, there goes my shower, man. Dry off. Go out there. Hello? Let's go. We gotta go. It was Marty.
Jesus.
Oh, all right. I'll be right down. I throw my clothes on. I get down. There's like 19 limos in a row, You're in that one. Get over there. Okay, let's go. Some guy on a walkie-talkie. And then we head on down the road and go to the venue. I never played with Fleetwood Mac.
What?
Isn't that funny? I didn't play.
What happened?
Flew home that night, right away.
Because?
Turned right around, went back home. Well, I got there, we got to the venue, got up on stage, and the guys are all hovering and helping, crew, everybody. And I had a music stand for my notes, and I was standing in front of two giant SVT amplifiers, tall, big bass rig and everything. And the guitar guy who works on John's guitars came over and goes, look, between tunes, here's what you're going to do. I'm going to dress you in your bass. You lean forward and throw your right arm forward. I throw the bass over your back cable, and then you walk right up. After the tune, you go down here and stand there.
It's like this guy. Did he have one of these?
It was exactly that. It was exactly that. Now, John's got himself a tent here. They had a tent for John to smoke cigarettes in. You can hang in there. That's his room. He goes in there. It's a tent right off the side of the stage. That's his place. And you can go in there and take a breather for a second, but you'll just follow the stage plot and the set list and everything. And I'll be there ready to dress you in whichever bass is appropriate for the tune. And okay, I got you. And then So we're ready to do this, to sound check. Guys are all coming around. Like, hey, what can I do? Can I help you with anything? No, I'm good. Let me just learn this music, So I remember I played this bass line. Doom, doo doo doom, doo 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 doom. It was just a famous bass line on one of the tunes, The Chain, it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And it was ringing out. There was soundman had me big loud in the PA. And it was just rumbling big, and I'm used to the stadium thing. I do well.
Right.
You're kind of playing the stadium, you're playing the hall, you know what I mean?
Right.
With your duration to however long you hold a note because of the reverb and that takes an expertise.
Right. Sure.
It really does.
Uh-huh.
And I'm kind of playing the room and getting used to my position and listening to everything that's around me and learning the music as best I can. And I look up, everybody's gone. This anthill of activity with people teaming and running here and there is just nothing. Just me on this big, giant stage and my bass in the rig. And well, that's crazy. What the hell? All right, well, I'm just going to keep playing. And I just kept grooving, working, getting ready for the show. And then I look way out there. It's a big, giant stadium, Norma Dome thing. And I look and I see one usher, just one guy, one piece of humanity out there. And I'm just kind of focusing on him. And then Mick walks out with Marty. And they're waving at me like, oh. So I put the bass down, walk out there briskly. And Marty kind of moves forward and says, we're shutting it down. I said, what? And Mick, he was just kind of standing there, and I went, Mick, what's wrong, man? And he goes, he just was kind of looking around. He kind of had like an embarrassed look on his face, like his eyes were kind of watery, a little ish, it was kind of weird. And I was just like, Marty, what are you gonna shut it down because of me? Like what? Was that? Now, mind you, Fleetwood Mac, the principals weren't there. When I was playing all up there, all the stuff I told you about, that was all crew and side men. The principals came in the back. I didn't see them. They came in a little later, and that happens. And they all came in and they took their places in the back and had whatever were preparing to come up and join me and everybody and play.
Right.
And they never did. They never did. The guy, he goes, we're just going to shut it down, man. I'm sorry. I said, was it my look? Like, was it my sound? Like, what was it? The way I carry myself? And I looked at Mick. He had on one of those long sleeve things that he wears, those puffy shirts and stuff. I grabbed him by the shirt sleeve. I said, man, let's go play. He kind of pulled his arm back a little bit. And I said, let's go play, man. I'm ready. Let's do this. You don't have to shut this down. I got it. And he goes, you remember when I told you, don't tell me you can do this if you can't. 24 hours ago. I said, yeah, of course, but I can do it. Let's go. And he said, well, we walked in and we saw you standing there in front of his amp. You might have been playing, I think you were playing his bass. I was. And he goes, we can't do it. We just can't do it. I said, okay. I turned to Marty. I said, Marty, get me out of here, man. I want to go home now.
Wow.
I was on the plane.
That must have sucked so bad. Holy shit, that must have sucked so bad. That's the climax chapter in Fired.
That's the last page.
Damn, that must have sucked so bad.
Yeah. Can I quote you? That must have sucked. So bad. End of the book.
So bad.
Yeah, and then later I got emails, from Mick, texts, happy ones. Thanks.
Oh,
You're good. You were good. Everything was cool. It wasn't you. I don't know what it was.
was it
but
Lindsay? You'll never know.
You'll never know.
You'll
They
never
just shut
know.
it down.
Fucking A. Must have, I bet you it was Lindsay.
Probably. Long flight.
How long was the flight?
Jeez, I don't know. Is it shit, 13, 14 hours?
Shit. Damn.
So that was that. That goes in the book. I guess
That
the
goes, okay,
last-
last story. Crosby,
last
Stills, and
story.
Nash. When was that and how'd you get that?
the last story is Crosby, Stills, and Nash, although it's far from the last story. But
No,
it's-
I actually have one other person I want to ask you about, but tell me about
Okay.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash is a legendary act that goes as high in the book. Wendy's seen me with all these different bands, and she told me that I was me and my bass and that music and the way I play and all that really worked really well.
Was Jeff Pevar with them then?
Yeah, he came out. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love Jeff too.
Mhm.
You know Jeff
Oh, yeah.
from New York.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the way that ended was, the way it started was an interesting, quick story. I'll do it very quickly. I got a call.
What year is this?
This was in 2000, and this was okay. This is interesting. When I got the Fogerty gig after Billy Joel, went on a tour and made a record. Right after this first tour, while doing the Fogerty record, he was discussing touring.
Yeah.
Like John's the kind of guy that uses you on the record and then tours with you.
Nice.
Some don't do that.
Right.
So he had me. So we were going to go on tour.
Mhm.
Well, but he was mixing, and he's very genius level anal, So he's very, very specific about his stuff, and it takes longer than he expected.
Sure.
And he kept pushing the tour back, even though we were booked to go on tour and play this music and his hits. He kept pushing it back, and I'm losing money,
God, now I can't even remember how you got fired from that gig. All the fires are melting into each other. Shit. I can't even remember the story now. Okay, go ahead.
So he says, so he goes, John's brother called and says, man, we're going to push the tour back again. Okay. Well, it just so happened, I was in Nashville doing a session with Crosby, Stills, and Nash's drummer, who's one of my best friends. His name is Joe Vitale. And we played together for a good 5 years with CSN.
Wow.
Okay. All this is going to make sense in a minute.
Wait, and what year is this?
This is in between the first 2 years with Fogerty. I had to take the Crosby, Stills, and Nash gig because of John pushing the tour back.
Right. But like what year is it?
2002 or 3.
Okay.
2002-ish. And then I left and went out with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, which didn't go over great with John. Just being honest. But I told him, I told John, Bob, the brother, I said, hey, man, I'm losing money, lots of money by waiting. I've got to go.
You're not on salary while you're not
on salary.
Mhm.
And Crosby, Stills, and Nash called.
Shit, yeah.
David Crosby was still alive and healthy, and Stephen Stills was still singing great and playing great. Nash, of course, Neil Young wasn't really in that. It wasn't CSNY in this particular period of time.
Right.
It was later,
Mhm.
and it had been prior. But in this window, it was just CSN.
Right.
But that's okay. I was, I loved Neil. I was hoping he'd come on, but I went out with them. So that ended after quite a few tours, and I went back to John.
How did you get back in with had John been going out while you were out with CSN?
No. Yes, he had. I recommended a bass player named George Hawkins, who I loved. George was with Kenny Loggins and Messina for many years.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
they called me in the tour. We're going to go on tour now. And I said, I can't do it. I'm out with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, but please call George Hawkins. You'll love him. He's a great singer and a great bass player. So they actually made a fantastic live album.
Uh-huh.
And it's really great. And George was perfect for the band, and they loved him. And then I was out with CSN. Then it was time to something happened with George.
Mm-hmm.
George, he's passed away now.
Oh, sorry.
But at that time, George was feeling unloved by the act, but he was falling out. He was investing heavily in Fogerty, and he wasn't feeling that he was getting enough back from it.
Mm-hmm.
So he was having some negative feelings, and they were picking up on that. So it was a breakup of a marriage type of a thing. And so one of the techs called me and said, "Hey, you might be able to get the Fogerty gig back."
And were you not playing with Crosby, Stills, and Nash at this point?
I got fired.
How did you get fired from that? You're fired. How'd you get fired? Oh, God.
You want to hear all this stuff?
Yeah.
Steven is a tyrant, man. I love him, but he's he's that way. He's like Fogerty. He's very much into the music. He's a musician's musician. He's a great musician. That's him on bass on those records.
Wow.
Yeah. And when I went to get that gig, I flew to LA and went with the directions, very in a rental car. And I went up to this, what was that, Mulholland Drive, and there was this house with these tennis courts, and I drove in and I'm nervous, and I get to the house and I knock on the door at this specific time to audition at his house. Vitale had hooked it up because we had done some recording together here in Nashville, the drummer, and Joe Vitale and Stephen Stills are very close. Joe Vitale plays with Joe Walsh, and he wrote Rocky Mountain Way with Joe and other tunes like that. And so I get there to Stills' house. I knock on the door, and Stephen answers the door after like a long time, 20 minutes, like bam, 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 bam. And then he comes to the door. Hey, oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Oh, come on in. So I come walking in. He leads the way. I'm following in this like Spanish castle. And I walk past a room, and there's road cases and musical instruments laying around. James Taylor, Jackson Browne, all these different people who have been playing with him. They had been doing some jamming or whatever it was they were doing. And I walked through this hallowed ground of California country, you know what I mean? The sound I'm talking about. Eagles, Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Sure.
And if there's a pyramid, Crosby, Stills, and Nash would be at the top of that.
Absolutely.
And then from there, there'd be some Eagles, there'd be all the others that we mentioned. So I go into this room, and there is Joe, and he's sitting at the studio console, and hey, David, come in. And he goes, he's pressed for time. He's looking at his watch, and he's like, we
Tony just wrote Guinness World Book of Records for getting fired.
Who's this? Who wrote that, Tony?
Tony Vincent.
So I walk in. She's funny. She's right. And there's Joe, and he goes, plug in. Come on, plug in. We got to go. And I go, okay. You're right. Because those guys had gone on a break for lunch. They were all going to come back and play some more. And all the stuff was set up in the studio. And I plugged my bass in, and I had chosen the wrong bass. I flew in with a Fender Jazz bass because I was using that a lot. And Stephen is famous for playing a Fender Precision bass with flat wound strings on his recordings. And I didn't know that at the time. But so I figured any bass that an artist plays, that it's really his bass, would be the right choice. I don't know. So I brought my bass, and that was the wrong choice. He just looked at Joe, and he went, I don't like his sound. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking at Joe. I was standing right next to him, like a foot away. So he was looking at, I don't like his sound. Like I wasn't even there, And I said, oh man, I'm sorry. You don't like, what can I do? Like, and he goes, hey, and he yelled off to some crew guy, bring me Grandma, he called it. That's his bass, Grandma. He called it Grandma, from the early 60s. And it had the same strings on it that he had used. They're flat wound strings, and they were really old. And they had this old ancient sound to them. It was amazing. And he brought this hallowed bass out, and he goes, play that. He gives it to me. I took off my Fender Jazz and I put it on, and it puts this thing on, and it was Herbie Hancock was playing piano, and it was just like some really great groove, and there was a bass line on there already. It was him. And then he goes, play along with this. And I said, you going to leave that bass line up? He goes, yeah, just see if you can cop it and play along. And he goes, go into record, Joe. And they went into record, and I didn't have a chart or anything. I was just trying to zen my way through it. I got through it and finished. And then he goes, okay, we're done. You can go. And I went, you want to hear it back or anything? He goes, no, you can go, really. And I went, okay. All right. I got up and I put my bass in the case and kind of put it on my back and walked out and got in my rental car and left the premises. And
left the premises.
And I called Wendy and I said, honey, I didn't get the gig. I'm coming home. I had booked more time out there than I needed, stayed a week. So I came home that night and flew home. She said, just come home. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, you're right. I flew home. Then when I got home, I went to my answering machine, and sure enough, there was a call from the manager, and he said, hey, Stephen Stills dug you, man. You want the gig? Call me right away. We're going to talk about money and your schedule. And I got the gig, and I went on tour, and I lasted a good long while. Then there was some time that passed where we were in Barcelona and we played some gig. And Stephen,
so you did a few years with them?
Quite a few, almost 5 years.
Wow.
Let's say 5 years. Let's just call it 5 years. He and then Fogerty was kind of relining up through this dismissal of this other bass player, and I left Crosby, Stills and Nash and jumped right into Fogerty. These were busy times for me. It's not so like that now, but in those days I was running around a lot. To wind this story down, here's how the fired part gets told.
Oh my God. We've been talking for 2 hours. We've got a lot of fired stories in 2 hours.
Here we go. While I'm on it, I might as well go with this because this is historic.
Yeah.
We were in Barcelona, Jackson Browne, Bonnie Raitt,
wow,
Peter Frampton.
Wow.
Were in the wings. Stephen wanted to play this tune that he had written called Spanish Suite, which was not an easy tune to play. And he had taught it to me earlier that day.
Okay.
And we walked up on stage, and those people were all there, and some others, kind of milling around in Barcelona, beautiful place. And we played the tune. When it came to the bridge, which was not even a bridge, it was like a B section-y, C section, kind of weird section. I didn't remember.
C section, huh? That's a whole different kind of section. Yeah.
It was a C section. I missed the downbeat. I didn't play the right note, which caused him to sing an ugly note. And and those people were there.
Oh.
And they were hanging on every note. It was kind of an intimate moment. And I what we call in the business, I blew the bridge, And I caught up, but hard to climb out of that hole, And he was unhappy about that. But he didn't say anything. But I heard about it later. And that's
from who? From the manager?
The drummer, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So one day we went to play Love the One You're With, which is one of his.
Wait, one day. So how much later?
Oh, I stayed in the band for a few more, but it was dark.
For a few more how? Weeks, months?
Weeks. And then I guess I was trying to redeem myself And there's a famous bass line on the song "Love the One You're With." It goes. It's this driving thing that Stephen played, and is amazing. But Stephen had a hit with that song with Luther Vandross, and Luther had done it slow, and he wanted to show that he could be as funky as Luther had cut it, but it wasn't. Not it wasn't no fault of anybody's, but it's Luther Vandross, man,
Yeah.
And he played it. He wanted me to play don't gong 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 gong, but that's not really of the tune. That isn't when you're down. It was this Latin. It was this driving thing, and we had done it the funk way, the slow funk maudlin way for a while, and we were on the bus, and I heard it come on the radio, and I said, Joe, guys, Mike Finnegan, come here, man, listen to this. And they were listening. They were like, wow, yeah.
Finnegan was in the band?
Yeah, Finnegan was in the band.
Oh,
you knew Mike?
I love Finnegan. Yeah, he did this. Yeah. I love Finnegan.
Finnegan was in the band. And then we all went, man, let's play it like that tonight. Let's show Stephen. And I said, yeah, let's do. I shedded it. I listened to it. I came out on stage. David Crosby used to stand right in front of me, Gramm Nash there, and Stephen on the other end. And we came out and we started that tune, and I started playing that bass line, his bass line.
Right.
And he didn't like that.
Oh, you guys didn't talk to him about it?
No, and I should have.
Yeah.
And that's what Frampton told me. I told him the story. He said, oh, so David Crosby turned around after the tune ended, and he went, that's the way to play that tune, motherfucker. And he slapped me 5. Well, I raised my hand out. I slapped him 5 in slow motion. I looked over at Stephen, and he was looking at me like,
oh,
you're out.
Oh, shit.
That was it, because they hate each other. They didn't love each other.
So like that night, you got the boot?
Yeah, basically. And what happened was, Frampton told me when I told him the story later, because he asked me about it. He said, oh, so when you were waving to slap your hand at David Crosby, you were waving goodbye to the gig.
Oh, shit. Oh, God. All right, listen, we've been on, we could sit here and talk all night, but we're going to do this in person in 2 weeks. We shot the shit. We dished the dirt. So wait, I know that you played with Phoebe, and I don't know when, but I loved Phoebe. I met her through the Conti brothers, and Phoebe and I had like this mad love affair for a couple months. She took me everywhere. But how did you meet Phoebe, and when did you play with Phoebe?
That was my first big tour. That was my first Australian.
When was that?
New Zealand, Japan, 87.
Oh, wow.
Or 86.
That's about when I met you.
I think so.
And I think you were just coming off of that, actually, when you played at the Rock and Roll.
That was exactly right.
Right?
Well, Phoebe was wonderful. I loved her. And then God bless her and God rest her soul. And her baby, they both have left us. And
her daughter died?
Yeah.
I think I knew that.
Yeah, she died first. And then
I did know that. I did know that.
Probably. I think Phoebe might have died of misery, like an unhappy.
Phoebe was in the hospital for a while. She was really sick. But I spent time with her daughter. We took her to St. John the Divine's. Yeah, wow. But Phoebe had the voice of an angel. She was unbelievable. What a talent she was.
One of the greatest singers of all time.
She really was. Was it fun to go out on tour with her?
I loved her every minute of it. She was very loving and kind, and at the same time conflicted with the fact that she had to put her career on hold for the baby, who was autistic.
Yes.
And so had to miss out.
She wasn't a baby anymore, but in the 80s, she was, yeah.
But she was nice. Phoebe was cool. What else? That's it.
All right, David, listen, to be continued. I'll be in Nashville in less than like 2 weeks. We're going to be doing all this in person. I can't wait. That's so great.
Wendy, are you here to say goodbye? Where are you? No?
Wendy's going to do this show
Okay.
after Nashville. Wendy's going to do this show, and she's
We'll
going to
do
meet
it.
everybody because we're Team Wendy. This house, Team Wendy, big time. We were in shock and disbelief with our mouths agape and we watched that video last night, Wendy's video of her journey on The Voice, and Snuffy and I are just sitting, what the fuck? No one's ever fucking sang like that. No
I
one's
agree.
ever sang like that.
It's a magical voice.
She's unbelievable. I can't believe I'm going to get to see her sing live. I'm so excited.
You know, she didn't really want to win that at first, but the competition made her drove her to want to
Of
win.
course.
And
And
she
Blake
wanted.
was, egging her on the whole time. Did he ever do anything for her? Oh shit. All right, we'll talk about that
Well,
another time.
actually, he did. He did. He's always been supportive. And when he saw her at the Opry one time, he would running over to her and they hugged and hey, it was just like they were just best friends.
Yeah, but
And
damn it, he
he's
should have
never
done
done
something.
anything wrong. Love
He,
that guy.
he should have done something for her. All right, we'll talk about
We'll
that.
talk later. Okay.
We'll-
How
we'll-
do I save any of this?
It's saved. You don't have to do anything. Love you. Say hi.